Alright, so today I'm going to give you my 3 most anticipated DCU projects coming up, and I'm also going to give you 3 projects that have not been announced. There are no signs of them getting announced, but projects I would love to see made in general. Now, moving forward into the DCU within the next 1.5 to 2 years, I'll be honest with you, I'm still very skeptical. We've been burned by Warner Brothers so many times. There's no guarantee that my interests with DC will end up aligning with what the DCU ends up doing. I'm just trying to keep an open mind overall. So one of my first most anticipated projects for the DCU is going to be The Batman Brave and the Bold. This is simply my Batman bias kicking in. This is me never having enough Batman. I can always have more Batman. I don't care what type of iteration, variation, or type of Batman they are. I'm just interested in reading it, watching it, playing it. I don't care what it is. Give me Batman. Can I objectively look at the state that Batman is in right now? The fact that he dominates the DC market, he is plastered everywhere to ensure popularity within DC. The fact that people may get burned out of too much Batman, the fact that this might be an issue, releasing 2 Batman movies in 2 different continuities around the same time, I can of course see the issues here, but biasly, yes, I'll take it. I'll take more Batman. I am just curious to see within the Batman film how different they try to go. Of course, we keep talking about the one very big detail that we all know or seem to know is that the Bat family has already been developed within this world. The question is how many members are part of this Bat family? We got to imagine that a lot of the Robins are already there. Maybe Batgirl has already come and gone in a sense. Maybe there's already another Batgirl. But I'm also curious to see, because the Bat family is there and he's operating with a Robin, will this Batman still feel like, of course, it's connected to a DC universe, but will it still feel like he operates on his own? Or because the Bat family is there, it does feel like a wider Batman world? But also a big thing for me is how much I love Arkham Batman. The Arkhamverse is my favorite interpretation of Batman in history. There might be close seconds for me, but nothing beats Arkham Batman. I am still waiting for the day where we see a Batman in live action closely modeled after the Arkham Batman. The closest we have had is Ben Affleck's Batman, but we still do not have the definitive live action version of Arkham Batman. And I'm not sitting here saying he needs to be Arkham Batman. I'm just saying some similarities, something that we could closely attribute to saying that is so similar. We of course want this Batman to have its own flavor to it, but I would love to see action sequences the way we got in the Arkhamverse. Now, I personally don't think we will get that from DCU Batman. Something just tells me we won't, but that does not mean that I can't hold out for one day where we could get that. The second project I am anticipating is Swamp Thing, and I think Swamp Thing could do a lot for exploration in other corners and avenues of the DC universe. Swamp Thing would of course be able to get a lot more people into the mystical side of DC, and I'll be honest with you, I weirdly enough am not into the mystical side of DC. It's never been my interest. Even though I love a lot of sci-fi or fantasy projects, movies, TV shows, games out there that deal with the magic and mystical or supernatural things, DC, for some reason, that's never where my interests have lied. Now with Swamp Thing, I like Swamp Thing as a character, and I think I could get more interested in the mystical with him. Usually when we look at DC, we're seeing the powerhouse of DC through the lenses of someone like a Superman or a Wonder Woman, or people like their villains, like a Zod or a Doomsday. Of course, DC is home to so many other extremely insanely powerful people that we just haven't really been able to see on screen. Swamp Thing would be another character who could explore, once again, different avenues and different corridors, not just of the mystic, but of crazy powerful people and beings. They could even, and 100% will, introduce the Green, which is one of the top elemental universal powerhouses in the DC universe. And we never know if villains in the DCU ever want to tamper with something like that. It could have some dire consequences on their universe. Swamp Thing could also open the door for one or two DC projects that I would love to be made in the future that currently aren't in development right now, or as far as I'm concerned, they're not in development. My third most anticipated project from the DCU as we know it, and honestly, I think it might just be my most anticipated of all of them, it is the Green Lantern show. The Lantern Corps, the Lantern section of DC has been underutilized and practically forgotten by DC for years. And maybe to rephrase that better, Warner Brothers, they have just been completely obsolete. It's almost as if Warner Brothers does not want to touch that for some reason. It's like they still have PTSD from what happened with Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. And there's 5% of me that understands that, but there's 95% of me that just realizes Warner Brothers is a terrible company. They don't know how to run their IPs, and that's why they've never been confident enough in making another Green Lantern project. I have said in countless videos so many times, the Green Lantern project is DC's sci-fi answer. It's DC's Star Wars or Star Trek or Mass Effect or any other very popular sci-fi IP you can think of. The Green Lanterns and the Lantern Corps in general, you could literally take them out of DC and make it its own company, its own separated universe that has nothing to do with DC, and there would still be enough history within what has been created for the Lanterns over time that would make it a big enough product where you could stretch it through its own movies, comics, TV shows, games. It is a massive IP on its own. There is so much you can do. And I think this is a perfect opportunity, of course, to start slow, to get people back into the groove of realizing that there is a character called Green Lantern in the DC universe. But it's the perfect opportunity to make sure the door is open for, hey, here you go, a Green Lantern TV show, get used to these characters, and maybe as the years go on, you just kick down that door and there is a universe of Lantern possibilities. It can get to the point where we don't even need to deal with the Green Lanterns as much as you did in the beginning. You can go to blue or red or yellow or purple or pink or whatever color you want to deal with. The amount of villains and events you could have, Necron, Atrocitus, Sinestro, the Manhunters, War of Light, Parallax, it does not matter. Like I've said in so many other videos before, I have been dying to see some sort of project, a buddy cop project between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. I'm glad we're going to be getting something like that. My only one gripe about it is that it's going to be a show and not a movie. I would have much preferred it to be a movie, but it is what it is. Regardless, that is something I'm looking forward to. Now it's time for 3 anticipated projects I have that have not been announced, and maybe one day we can get them. So one of my first projects I would love to see on screen one day is a Justice League Dark film. We were supposed to be getting one from Guillermo del Toro back in like 2017, 2018 or something like that. It never ended up panning out. I could only imagine how cool or interesting it would have been from the mind such as his. But when I look at other Justice League teams or DC team-ups in general, I think the Justice League Dark is a team you can make while keeping similarity to the Justice League, but also changing them enough so it doesn't feel too overly similar to what we've seen before already. You, of course, could make a Justice Society movie or show. You could make a Justice League International. You could make any other different version of Justice League that you wanted. But when you do look at those teams, sometimes they can be very identical or simply very similar to the Justice League. With Justice League Dark, they're very different. The characters are very different. Their powers are very different. It's not just, oh, one super fast, one super strong, one super smart. With Justice League Dark, they all got crazy magical abilities that many other people don't have or are rare in the DC universe. And I do think that Justice League Dark could offer a way for the Justice League to end up seeing they got talents we don't got. They're better suited to handle threats that, sure, we can handle, but they could maybe handle it in a better fashion than we could. It could also open the door to the possibility of a, hey, we are the Justice League. You are a Justice League. We're under one banner. Why not start what the DC animated universe did with Justice League Unlimited? All these different Justice League teams have their own branches, but they can all team up together at the end of the day if need be. Having somebody like Swamp Thing already in the DCU could be a great way of maybe Swamp Thing trying to create some Justice League Dark. I'm not saying Swamp Thing would be the guy who would go out there and start recruiting people for a team. I'm just saying he could be the key or the answer to while Superman is developing a Justice League. In the background, there is a mystical Justice League starting up as well. Another very anticipated project for me, a project that I have wanted for such a long time, even before it was supposed to happen back in, once again, 2018, 2019, you lose track of years when Warner Brothers just cancels everything they once had in development. A New Gods / Old Gods movie or show. New Gods, Old Gods would once again be the exploration of DC in another corner or avenue that isn't explored often. Since many people do not have knowledge of the comic books or simply just don't have an interest in reading DC comics, when you think of Old Gods, New Gods, you just think of Darkseid most of the time. And many people don't even know that he is attributed to the Old Gods, New Gods. So now you have these hypothetical gods who walk amongst men on Earth, but now you can literally deal with gods who walk on the heavens, or who walk simply on different galactical levels above humanity. You could deal with Darkseid and Highfather having this never-ending bickering war between the two factions, and they decide to trade sons to one another. You could do a lot of things and change the narrative, do a lot of creativity. Maybe what happened during thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years of war between Darkseid and Highfather, it almost like changed the scope of the DC universe they live in, their dimension. Certain things have happened or transpired because of the realm-shaking war the two have constantly. We could have a better understanding of why the New Gods and Old Gods are so crazy powerful and why they're so dangerous, and maybe say, for example, why Darkseid would literally take the whole world to beat him. Why he's so insanely, unbelievably, stupidly, crazy powerful. Another door that could be open there is because, of course, the multiverse is a huge thing in popularity nowadays. We always attribute the multiverse to someone like the Flash or someone similar to him. Maybe we could open up the door of multiverses, time travel, dimension hopping through the creation of Highfather and Darkseid. Maybe they have the answer to be able to do stuff like that with the mother boxes and boom tubes. Whereas they may not be used as much as the Lantern cores are in comic books, I think there is a lot of untapped story that could be used for New Gods, Old Gods movie, TV show, doesn't matter. I just think that would be so damn cool. Instead of seeing fight scenes decimate chemical plants or decimate cities or decimate farmland, you could watch fight scenes and action sequences with Darkseid decimating planets. And the third project I would be very interested in seeing is a Dr. Fate project. I know we've seen Dr. Fate recently in Black Adam, but I think we need an entire project just dedicated to him. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of general audiences see the powerhouses of DC through the lenses of people like Wonder Woman and Superman. I think we need to let general audiences see another powerhouse in Dr. Fate. I think it would be a great opportunity to be able to explain the Lords of Chaos and why he's bound to their rule and word. The fact that Dr. Fate could actually snap you out of existence, but doesn't because of certain things he needs to hold back on. Certain situations where maybe the world is in dire need of help and Dr. Fate simply will not act on it because fate requires him not to. I think it would actually be really interesting to see Dr. Fate as a character who we are all programmed to see heroes as someone who's going to step in the line of fire, sacrifice themselves, and do what they need to do for the greater good. Meanwhile, Dr. Fate could be a character who could literally say, no, I can't do it. Like, I literally see you dying. I see you need help, but fate is telling me I can't, and because of that, I have to stand to the sideline. There's literally a statistical analysis that Dr. Fate needs to follow and operate within, and if it doesn't call for the right instance, he ain't gonna do anything. And I think that would actually be a really compelling character profile to follow. I think what you could even do with Dr. Fate is somehow tie him in to another anticipated project of mine, the New Gods, Old Gods. Maybe you can draw more of a connection to the Lords of Chaos, to Highfather or Darkseid, or any other powerful primordial creature that existed hundreds of thousands, millions of years ago. Maybe the helmet was very specifically made to seek into the future of this universally ancient war that Highfather, Darkseid, and all these other gods partook in. And maybe the helmet was to help them see how to navigate it, how to survive it, how to get around it. How Nabu the Wise created the helmet and used it to seek solace on Earth billions of years ago. Just some crazy, far out there ideas for you that you could get away with characters like Dr. Fate or the Old Gods and New Gods. So there it is. Those are my 3 anticipated projects for the DCU and my 3 anticipated projects that haven't been announced, but hopefully one day we see something similar to it. So let me know in the comments below what some of your anticipated projects are and what projects you would like to see in the future. But just like usual, everyone, that's all I got for this video. So until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.